Our home, a wet, rocky marble floating in the endless void. But if you look closely at the bottom, there is a landmass that shouldn't really exist. Australia. It is often called the lucky country. But looking at the data, it feels more like a glitch in the simulation. A place where the rules of biology, geography, and even logic seem to have been written by a bored god playing a video game on hard mode. To understand the scale of this place, we need to look up. If you placed Australia on the moon, it would stretch from one side to the other. Yes, Australia is arguably wider than the moon. It is the flattest, lowest, and driest inhabited continent on Earth. A red, dusty pancake baking in the sun. But the true weirdness of Australia isn't just its size. It's the paradoxes. It is a land of ancient history and modern contradictions. A place that tries to kill you, while giving you the best quality of life imaginable. Let's explore the paradox of the Great Southern Land. Most of Australia is empty. Not just Sunday morning, empty, but Martian surface, empty. About 85% of the population lives within 50 kilometers of the coast. Why? Because the middle, the outback, is a furnace. But humans are stubborn, and when the surface becomes uninhabitable, we don't leave, we dig. Welcome to Coober Pedy. On the surface, it looks like a post-apocalyptic wasteland where they filmed Mad Max, which they actually did. But beneath the dust, thousands of people live in dugouts, underground homes carved into the rock. Why? Because outside, it is 50 degrees Celsius. Inside, it is a pleasant 23 degrees. Humans here have become like ants, building complex hives to escape the wrath of the sun. It is the ultimate testament to Australian adaptation. If nature hates you, just ignore it and go downstairs. This land is so flat and dry that it creates problems you wouldn't expect. No high mountains means no snow melt rivers. This leads to droughts, fires, and a landscape that hasn't changed much in millions of years. And this stability has allowed for something truly magnificent. When we think of ancient history, we usually think of the pyramids or the Colosseum. But compared to Australia, these are brand new. The First Nations people of Australia have been here for at least 65,000 years. This is the oldest continuous living civilization on Earth. To put this in perspective, when Aboriginal Australians were telling stories about the stars and painting rock art, Europe was still in the middle of the last ice age, and woolly mammoths were walking around. They mastered this hostile continent not by conquering it, but by understanding it. They managed the land with fire long before modern agriculture, while the rest of the world was busy building empires that collapsed. The First Nations people maintained a culture that survived climate changes, rising sea levels, and isolation. But then, about 200 years ago, new people arrived, and they brought terrible ideas. There is another paradox hidden deep in the Australian landscape. A rule that sounds insane at first. This land does not survive despite fire. It survives because of it. Australia is the most fire-adapted continent on Earth. Many native plants don't just tolerate fire, they depend on it. Some eucalyptus trees store flammable oils in their leaves. Certain seeds are sealed shut and will only open after intense heat. Fire isn't a disaster here. It's a reset button. For tens of thousands of years, the First Nations people understood this perfectly. They practiced controlled burning, not to destroy the land, but to manage it. Small, low-intensity fires cleared dead vegetation, prevented massive wildfires, encouraged new growth, and attracted animals for hunting. The landscape was shaped deliberately, carefully, and sustainably. Then Europeans arrived, and saw fire as the enemy. Burning was banned, fire was suppressed, forests grew dense, dry fuel piled up for decades. And when fire finally returned, it didn't come back gently. Modern Australian bushfires are not just natural disasters. They are the result of a paradox. Trying to completely eliminate fire created fires that are impossible to control. In a land built to burn, refusing to burn is what makes everything burn. Australia teaches a brutal lesson in environmental humility. You cannot impose your rules on a system that evolved over millions of years. You must learn its logic, or suffer the consequences. And this brings us to the next paradox. When humans ignored Australia's rules, they didn't just lose control of fire. They lost control of nature itself. The European settlers looked at this alien ecosystem and thought, you know what this place needs? More familiar animals. This was a mistake. Let's talk about the rabbit. In 1859, a man released 24 rabbits so he could hunt them for fun. Rabbits do what rabbits do. And soon there were billions. They ate everything. Australia built a fence, longer than the distance from London to Moscow, just to stop them. It failed. Then there are the camels. Imported to help explore the desert. They were released when trains arrived. Today, Australia has the largest population of wild camels in the world. In fact, Australia exports camels back to the Middle East. It's like selling ice to Antarctica. But it's actually a profitable business. But the most embarrassing failure of humanity happened in 1932. The Great Emu War. Soldiers armed with Lewis machine guns were sent to cull the emu population. The plan was simple. Humans have guns. Birds do not. Humans win. But the emus, they used guerrilla tactics. They split into small groups. They ran faster than the trucks. They dodged bullets like they were in the Matrix. After wasting thousands of rounds of ammunition, the military commander withdrew. The official report essentially said, the birds are too good. Australia is the only country in history to declare war on a bird and lose. You might think a country that lost a war to birds is backward. But Australia is scientifically brilliant. In the 1990s, scientists at the CSIRO, Australia's national science agency, were trying to detect exploding black holes. They failed at that, but accidentally created a technology to transmit data wirelessly without echo. We call it Wi-Fi. Yes, the technology allowing you to watch this video on the toilet was invented in Australia. And here lies the irony. The country that invented Wi-Fi has some of the slowest internet speeds in the developed world. It's a tragic comedy, giving the world the gift of speed, while buffering in 480p at home. But nothing sums up the Australian attitude, a mix of tragedy, comedy, and, she'll be right, better than the story of Harold Holt. In 1967, the Prime Minister of Australia, Harold Holt, went for a swim at the beach. He was never seen again. He just vanished. In any other country, this would be a source of national trauma or wild conspiracies. In Australia, they commemorated him in the most Australian way possible. They named a swimming pool after him. A swimming pool, named after a man who drowned. This is the peak of Australian gallows humor. It's dark, it's disrespectful, but it's also strangely affectionate. This efficiency extends to their language. Australians don't like long words. Why say service station when you can say servo? Afternoon becomes arvo. McDonald's is Macca's. But the most interesting part is how they name dangerous things. In a land where everything can kill you, fear is replaced by cuteness. A terrifying cockroach is just a roach. A mosquito is a mozzie. Even the saltwater crocodile, a dinosaur that eats tourists, is affectionately called a saltee. It's a psychological defense mechanism. If you give a cute name to the monster, maybe it won't eat you. Spoiler, it will still eat you. So, is Australia real? It is a place where the seasons are reversed, where mammals lay eggs, where the Prime Minister vanishes into the sea, and the Wi-Fi is slower than the kangaroos. It is a continent of extremes. It is harsh, flat, and dangerous, but it is also resilient, innovative, and deeply ancient. Australia is humanity's control group, a test to see what happens when you isolate a civilization on a beautiful, deadly red rock for 60.000 years. And honestly, they seem to be doing just fine. Just watch out for the drop bears. Whispering, seriously, look up. If this video didn't scare you away from Australia, you might actually like this channel. Subscribe for more strange stories about our universe, our planet, and the places that feel slightly unreal. Thanks for watching, and seriously, watch out for emus.